Today, I want to discuss a theory I have that Jaxs doesn't just have a bunch of cool tricks, hacks, and glitches up his sleeve, but in addition to the keys to everyone else's room, I think Jaxs might actually have the figurative keys to get out of the video game. My name is Deepcut, or Deep in the Box maybe, I don't know, and let's dive into it. But before you do, can you just f***ing subscribe? Now there's some basic digital circus type lore that helps set up the idea that Jaxs possibly knows a way out of the digital circus. But a lot of this theory actually hinges on the mythological inspirations for the show. So let's talk about both. The big reason I'm making this video, of course, is because of the scene from the recent episode 6, where Jack insists to Pomni that he doesn't see the other circus members as friends. And earlier in the episode, he said he doesn't even see any of them as human. While Jaxs claimed he is no longer human with these people, in the later conversation with Pomni, he makes a clear distinction between himself and the others, who he claims to see as his playthings, basically his toys. This is important because in the circus, Jaxs is sort of a perpetual child. While he says that they aren't human anymore, but rather archetypes, this is more so Jaxs' attempt to not have to grow up, to use the situation he is in to embrace the part of him that never wanted to mature. But what happens when you tell a child that you are going to take away his playthings, his toys, the items that he has control over in a world where nothing else can be under a child's control? Now to be fair, Jaxs has said before that if there was a way out, he would have used it, but that doesn't mean he was telling the truth, or worse, he was telling a half-truth. With that half-truth perhaps being that he has found a way out and he has used it, just as he said he would. For all we know, Jaxs isn't even a trapped member of the circus and is just coming in every day in order to enjoy himself with it like a normal video game. He may also be stuck in the game like everyone else and know a way out, but simply chooses not to use it. A lot of fans want to believe Jaxs knows something about the game or how to escape it due to Jaxs' focus on finding exploits and glitches while trying to hide these from the others. This started in the pilot where Jaxs was shown to somehow have keys to everyone else's rooms, something that shouldn't even really exist in this world if you think about it. With the idea of the doors being locked, it seems the characters are meant to all get into their own rooms automatically with everyone else being locked out. Some people think that Jaxs simply willed the keys into existence by thinking them up, the same way Kinger seemed to just think up a butterfly that could restore Ragatha's health point. But regardless of how he has it, it shows that Jaxs is a step ahead of most of the other players in some way or another. This is due to Jaxs really taking the time to try and find and understand these things. With the game being developed on the go by an AI and the characters having customized gimmicks, everything has the potential to be exploited in an unintended and untested way, as none of these particular gimmicks would have been present in the original playtesting. We see Jaxs studying Pomni shortly after she entered the circus in episode 2, where he has her hold her breath to see what her unique gimmick is. In this scene, he reveals he knows what happens to everyone else when they hold their breath as well. Pomni, we found out, changes colors, Ragatha's hair stands up, Kinger glows with some light, and Gangle's mask begins to spin. Some people think when Jaxs holds his breath, his teeth end up turning sharp, as that's something we see happen when he starts getting suffocated. But no one else actually knows for sure, and in episode 2, Jaxs makes it clear that he tries to keep it a secret. All of this is meant to show us that Jaxs is someone who, 1, looks for exploits that he can use to his advantage, and 2, hides the same information from others so they can't try to use it against him. With that in mind, if Jaxs did find a way out, it's possible he wouldn't even tell the others. If the others got out, Jaxs could still play the digital circus on his own, but then he wouldn't have anyone else there to make suffer. Jaxs doesn't seem to really care for the game itself, even if it's appealing on the surface as a VR experience with fun adventures. But what he really likes is having his playthings, as he calls them, making them suffer so that he can laugh about it. In a post on their socials, Gooseworks even said that out of everyone in the circus, Jaxs is the one who deserves to be there the most, hinting at him doing something terrible not just to people in general, but with the worst thing that can happen to you being getting stuck in this video game in the show, it possibly hints at Jaxs being responsible for everyone else ending up there. Additionally, the official digital circus merch indicates that Jaxs doesn't even have a proper room the way the other characters do. We see some of these characters' rooms in the show, like Pomni, Kaufmo, and even Zooble, but others like Ragatha and Kinger we saw through a merch pin set. These were all really cute chibi-based merch, but with Jaxs' pin we saw that he didn't actually have a room the way everyone else did, and instead, behind his door, it's just a digital void. This could mean a lot of things and can even just be an attempt to hide his real room because of another twist that will be inside of it. But for a lot of people, this represents the edge of the video game, the point where Pomni can see out of the game itself and into the office where the game is being played. If there's a way out of the circus, this would be one way to symbolize it. But let's talk about the mythological angle, because that's where it gets very specific that the Jaxs archetype, if you will, is meant to have a way out of the circus, but won't take it. The idea that the digital circus is deeply esoteric is pretty common knowledge at this point. We did breakdowns very early about the Gnostic angle that the show has, and MatPat himself made a video talking about how Pomni appears to represent Jesus Christ. This is due to the end of the pilot where Pomni is sitting at a table with the others in a way that looks like the famous painting of the biblical Last Supper. Pomni is sitting in the same spot as Jesus in the center, and even has the red and blue color scheme that Jesus has in his outfit. I even found this image of Pomni being crucified from the early production tests of the show on Glitch's official website. And this is all important, as a key point of the story of Jesus Christ is that people are actually being kept out of heaven. This was something explored more overtly in Gnosticism, the movement from the early centuries of Christianity that retold the stories of the Old Testament, with that god being treated as more of a villain, trying to trap human souls in the material world. Already, you can see the parallels between that idea and the digital circus, where Cain takes on the role of the Old Testament god who's trying to capture people and place them in his game in order to make them worship him, as Cain's entire existence is geared around trying to get everyone else to give him praise. In Gnosticism, this figure is known as the Demiurge, and he is described as being the one guiding Judas Iscariot. In the original Bible, this is one of the 12 disciples who ends up betraying Jesus, and that's where Jaxs comes back in. Jaxs doesn't worship Cain, but he fits the role of the betrayer, and a large part of the last episode was Jaxs and Pomni playing with the idea of what betrayal means in their digital prison. In Gnosticism, Judas is just used as a parallel for the Pharisees of the New Testament, a rogue group within Judea who had taken over certain priest-like functions within the community, and were using their access to the biblical covenant in order to keep people out of heaven, just like the Demiurge in Gnosticism. What's more, however, is that Jesus claims in the New Testament that the Pharisees even keep themselves out of heaven, closing the doors on everyone. Jaxs himself claims that they are all just archetypes that they need to lean into, and mythologically, Jaxs fits the archetype of the trickster and the betrayer. It makes sense that if he did find a way out, that he would want to trap everyone else there in order to keep playing with them as his toys. Like Cain, Jaxs sees the others less as people and more as characters to be used in his own story. He doesn't want to just imprison the others, but he wants to be in the prison with them in order to play his games, locking himself out of the real world in order to keep everyone else in there with him. Of course, if they do go the mythological route, the story doesn't end with the betrayal, but with the rise of Jesus afterward, or in this case, Pomni. Right now, my guess is that Jax's betrayal is going to be something of an accident. Right now, I think he is pushing Pomni away in order to save her, but that won't stop her from trying to connect, as she clearly sees that Jaxs is hurting. And when he continues to push her away, I think this will make her abstract. When trying to connect with Jaxs, being pushed away means being pushed to do something that feels terrible, such as shooting Jaxs with a gun. And this would cause a lot of stress for a character like Pomni over time. Pomni tried to find a bunch of reasons not to do this, and even other ways to be violent with him in the hopes of getting a sincere reaction out of Jaxs, but he kept slipping his horrifying mask back on and pushing her to do it anyways. Due to YouTube's censorship rules, there's been some speculation around the idea that this game was going to end with Pomni using the gun on herself in order to avoid using it on Jaxs, but that it would be considered too extreme with all the changes going on YouTube right now. But even if it's not true, the reason fans are talking about it is because they can feel what was happening in this scene, that it's hinting at some sort of end where Pomni hurts herself because she can't bring herself to hurt Jaxs. But what do you guys think? For me personally, I think it would make sense for Jaxs to be keeping everyone out, as Gooseworks said that Jaxs is the one person who deserves to be there the most, and that would make it the most fitting prison for him. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.
Deepcut? What are you doing right now?